Yo, it's me again, Ted Hayes, the civil rights activist, the aspiring national civil rights activist, and homeless activist. I'm the nation's #1 homeless activist. This is my 31st year of being an activist for the homeless. I'm the most advanced, experienced homeless activist in the country, and I think I'm also the most advanced. Not necessarily experienced, but I'm the most advanced civil rights activist in the country. Some of you have heard about me. I'm on the YouTube, and you can look me up in Wikipedia and different things like that. I'm around, and you can in fact go and look up eBay or one of those places. Google Justiceville, the documentary. It's a 20-minute Emmy Award-winning documentary about my works with the homeless 30 years ago, which was actually prophetic of what we're seeing in the streets today. These are things I warned about, and here they are now. But I think that my activism as a civil rights activist with the homeless, whereby I went and lived on the sidewalks with these folks for 8 years in downtown LA and 13 years in the Dome Village that we created as an alternative to sidewalk living. And because of my voluntary experience, as no other American in the history of our country, not even Dr. King, with all due respect, has done what I have done. And therefore, that gives me the credit to consider myself also, therefore, the #1 civil rights activist in the nation. Not yet fully known nationwide by everybody, but soon, yes. And with your help, you go out and tell folks what's going on. Especially when you hear my discussions and my insight on the matter of Black lives and what Black Lives Matter actually is. Let me begin. Let me begin by addressing Black Lives Matter, the slogan itself. People think that Black Lives Matter is a new. Some people think that Black Lives Matter is a new phenomenon in American history and American culture. Young people, Black Lives Matter, that's not true. I know that you are focusing, this particular aspect of the matter of Black lives in our country is focused on the last 2 or 3 years, and particularly of the highly visible killings of Black men in the country, various urban centers, by law enforcement officials. And of course, there's been a lot of controversy around all of those incidents, but that's not what we're here to speak about today. We're here to speak about that fact that people act like this Black Lives Matter is a recent phenomenon. No, the matter of Black lives has always been with this country. Maybe you younger folks don't know the history, which I'm going to try to give to you here. I'm going to give to you, is that we've always had a matter of Black lives. I mean, whenever, there's in other words, Black people, whether we call it African Americans, Negroes, colored people, have always been at the center of this nation's attention. It dates right back to the 60s, the 50s, the 40s. Our role in World War II, in Korea, and Vietnam, and all those things. It goes back to the 30s, 20s, back into the 1800s, even the Civil War. We're going to talk about this. Black people was the center cause of the Civil War, where, you know what? Go look this up. There's varying numbers ranging from 620,000 to 1,000,000. And so I put the number around 740,000. 740,000 young, innocent, white boys and men, and 38,000 Black men, but mainly white boys. The white boy? Well, these white boys suffered and died in the Civil War 150 years ago over the matter of Black lives being held and generations destroying chattel slavery. They died over us. Now, some people try to spin it all kind of different ways, but when you read and do some research and objective research, them boys died because we were in the United States of America. Had we not been in the United States of America, black lives, them white boys, and plus the 38,000 blacks, would not have had to die. So, and you know what, folks? You know what? Do research. More men, boys died in that 4-year struggle from 1861 to 1865, died in that war than all the American wars put together. I'm talking about from the Revolutionary War to the War of 1812 to the Spanish-American War to the War with the Indians, which was a sad thing. We'll talk about it later as well. Got some insight for you on the Indian Wars and whatnot. To the Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Panama, and on to Iraq and Afghanistan, and Iraq. All those men total together does not total up the number of them white boys and men that died in that war, specifically over black lives' existence in this country. But not just because we existed in the country, but because of the condition in which the black lives were being held in this country. Y'all ever hear of chattel slavery? Chattel slavery? Chattel slavery? C-H-A-T-T-L-E. No, E-L. Chattel slavery. Chattel slavery. It's where it's not just slavery where you're a slave and you maybe escape or you buy your way out of it or something like that. No, when you are a slave, you are considered a chattel slave, living, human, animated property, thinking property. That's what you are, okay? And your wife, your children, your children's children are born into this. And this went on in the United States, well, went on in America for 245 years, this went on. But the matter of black lives was not an issue for the United States of America as a geopolitical entity before it was actually the matter of the British Empire, because it was the British, the Royal Crown, the English, who owned us, black lives, as their personal property. It was called being under the jurisdiction of the British Crown, of the British Empire. So our entry, Black Lives' entry into the United States did not occur until July 2nd, 4th, 1776. That's when Black Lives became a matter in the United States of America. Prior to July 4th, 1776, the matter of black lives was under the jurisdiction of the British Empire. And that began in 1620, Jamestown, Virginia, when the first slave ships arrived from Africa. One was called the Treasure, the other was called the White Lion, and they offloaded slaves in Jamestown. That was the beginning of the British, English, Black Lives Matter issue in their colonies. And then, of course, it changed later in 1776. So what I'm saying to you, young folks, this has always been a concern of America. The British, America, USA, the Black Lives Matter has always been a concern. It's just that we've never been able to bring a resolution to the great mystery of black lives and their matter in this land, not of our nativity. Africa, so they call it Africa. That was the land of our antiquity. But you know what? Be back in a minute. We're going to talk some more about this. Again, this is Ted Hayes, civil rights activist, homeless activist, Los Angeles. Thank you.